Hi, everyone. Tina Ekblad with Morris DePew Associates. Today, I'm updating you from my first video back in 2020 regarding permit extensions. Hopefully, you recall from that last video that there are natural disasters in the state of Florida in which the governor issues a state of emergency. And as a result of those state of emergencies, there is a provision in Florida statute that allows you to administratively request an extension to specific development permits. So I have two updates for you regarding that. The first is the legislature proposed an amendment to that portion of statute during this past session, and it has been approved and enacted where additional permits are eligible for those administrative permits. Specific types of activity under development agreements or redevelopment in specific areas, as well as water use permits, are now eligible. That provision is retroactive back to March 1st of 2020, which is important for my second update, which is regarding the COVID state of emergency. You may recall from my first video that the Florida Supreme Court did determine that the state of emergency for COVID qualified as a natural disaster, and therefore the time frame of the COVID emergency order was eligible for these administrative extensions. So as a result of that decision by the Florida Supreme Court and this additional amendment to statute during this past session, there are now additional permits that are eligible for extension, and the governor did not extend the COVID-19 state of emergency that expired on June 26th. Now you may be wondering, Tina, why do I care? Because as a result of the governor not extending that state of emergency, we now have 90 days to file our administrative applications for permit extensions. And as a result of the length of time of the COVID emergency, those permits are eligible for an additional year and 9-month extension. Again, that's an administrative process. It's guaranteed under statute. So if you have a permit that is currently active that has not expired, I would encourage you to go ahead and file that extension. Here's the challenging part. In between March 1st of 2020 and today, we've had other natural disasters in the form of hurricanes. Those are also eligible for these administrative extensions. And depending on what part of the state you're in, multiple counties have at least one other emergency order currently active for a natural disaster. So this is where the professionals at Morris DePew come in. It is very important that the paperwork filed for each natural disaster take into account the other, even if those emergency orders are still pending, because that ensures you get the maximum amount of time on your extension. There are very specific application forms depending on the jurisdiction and the agency that issued your permit, as well as a very specific way to calculate each natural disaster and permit extension. So I would encourage you to contact myself or any of the other professionals at Morris DePew Associates to, number one, file your extension paperwork for the COVID-19 emergency before the end of September. And number two, based on the location of your project, discuss the other permit extensions that are available in your area.